Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host this week, Carrie.
What's up?
All right, guys, we're back. This time we are going to sit down and discuss A Wrinkle in Time. Carrie, you went and saw this. This is starring Oprah Winfrey.
Mindy Kaling, Reese Witherspoon, Storm, Reid, Deric McCabe,
Chris Pine
is in it. Lot of Zach Galifianakis is in it.
Oh, that's a weird, random.
Yeah.
Okay, so give the premise, and then I would love to hear your. And by the way, this is directed by Ava DuVernay.
Yes.
Go ahead and give the synopsis. You saw this, I didn't, for the story, and then kind of give your impressions.
Right. So, basically, the Murray family, which consists of Meg, her younger brother, Charles Wallace, and then their two extremely intelligent scientist parents. They're all sort of eccentric. They're very into science, and the parents were researching the time-space continuum, and the father disappeared. And so this is 4 years after the disappearance, and basically these otherworldly beings portrayed by Oprah and Mindy Kaling and Reese Witherspoon show up and are like, we think we know where your dad is. Okay. And so they travel through space and time, and not only have to rescue their father, but also have to confront the sort of source of all evil in the universe, known simply as the It.
Ah, okay.
So...
Played by David Oyelowo, incidentally.
Voiced by, yes.
Yeah, voiced by. Okay.
So,
okay. There has been some very interesting, people were very interested in this movie just because this is being done by a very prominent and up-and-coming black female director, Ava DuVernay, who I think is pretty talented. However, this project is like kind of crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, so it's based off of the 1962 novel, which was the first in the Time Quintet by Madeleine L'Engle. I probably pronounced that wrong. She's got a fucking French last name, and I don't know what I'm doing there. Yeah. But like, so I read the book as a kid.
Yeah.
And so that was in the 90s for me. But, you know, this is a story that's appealed to generations of readers. It's very much like, kind of like how Chronicles of Narnia is like baby's first fantasy.
Yeah.
This is baby's first sci-fi.
Okay.
And it's just, there's a lot of things going on, and it's been called unfilmable forever. Yeah. They've been calling it unfilmable for the last 50 fucking years. And I think there's unfortunately some degree of truth to that. But that being said, I don't think they did a bad job.
Visually, I'm hearing it's excellent.
Yeah, visually, there's a lot going on. Like the CG is good. I've seen a lot of other people be like, "Oh, the CG's too distracting," and I'm like, they're on other planets. Yeah. It's not gonna look like Earth.
Right. All right. That's fair.
But like the costume design, I think is brilliant, particularly for the three Mrs. W's, the three. Mrs. Who, Mrs. Which, and Mrs. Whatsit, who seem to change clothes at every new location, but it's fine because it's all beautiful.
Right.
It's visually very appealing, I thought, because you get this sort of lush, beautiful green environment on the first planet, the very peaceful planet of Uriel, and then when they go into this place called Camazotz, which is the center of where the It is from, it's very sterile and not good. And like it's designed to make you feel like a little uncomfortable, like you're at a fucking doctor's office or something, you know, like
lovely. That sounds like a lovely planet to me. So, before we get into like your overall score and everything else, how is the acting in this? How is Oprah Winfrey as, I assume, Goku's mother from Dragon Ball?
So like all the acting is really good. Like the kids especially are really good.
Okay.
Like Oprah is, I think, going to be the main draw for a lot of people, but she's just being like a nice old lady, and that's not really that much of a stretch for her.
Right. She's like, I'll just wear this ridiculous outfit.
Right. So like meanwhile, Deric McCabe, Charles Wallace, so the Charles Wallace character, I don't know if it's necessarily a spoiler for a fucking 55-year-old book.
Right.
But like he ends up, well, he's already like verbose. He already talks like a 45-year-old man, but he ends up possessed by the it later in the story. And so he goes from like a precocious young kid to like a rude little boy with a big vocabulary. And there's nothing scarier than a shitty little kid with a big vocabulary.
Why do you know all of these words?
Right.
Where did you see this?
So he stole every scene he was in. Storm Reid as Meg Murry was very good. There's a lot of emotion in this story, and the emotion was conveyed in a genuine fashion.
Okay.
Chris Pine, I think, is proving that he is the most versatile of the Chris's in a role like this, where he has to be a dad instead of a heartthrob.
Yeah, I like Chris Pine. I feel like he's finally kind of breaking away from just the general heartthrob typecast, which is good for him.
So yeah, all of the acting was good. My problem with this movie stems from the writing and the pacing.
Yeah.
I think we spend a little too much time in the beginning, sort of with the explanation of like the family dynamics, and Meg started acting out at school after her dad disappeared, and the teachers aren't necessarily the best people. Like, there's that, and there's a lot of time spent on that. And then they go to Uriel, and there's a lot of time spent on that with them just like flying around and have a good time. And it's like, that seems like a lot of money went into that scene. And I feel like it probably,
we can move on, guys.
We can go.
Right. There's a lot to do here.
And then the end, and this is not a spoiler for the movie because it's not in the movie. In the book, like near the climax of the movie, they teleport away from Camazotz after Charles Wallace gets possessed to the nearby planet of Ixchel. That doesn't happen in this movie. Okay. So it just goes from like, he's possessed, dad is saved, and then like fast forward to the end. And like, as someone who read the books, I was like, what?
Like,
where's this? And like,
does it feel, so is that all in the first book? Like you're talking about just skipping a bunch in the first book. Oh, okay.
Cause like, and this is only an adaptation of the first book.
Right.
So it's just, it's very much like, it feels like we sort of take our time and then like we get to a certain point and then bam, we're at the end of the movie. Right. And I'm like,
that seems a little fast.
Particularly when the stuff on Ixchel is like super important to the plot of the story, because that's where Meg has to come to terms with the fact that like, oh, my dad isn't a hero. Like, my dad isn't perfect. Sometimes parents aren't perfect, you know.
That's a big lesson for a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Well, it's for every kid.
Yeah. Is that, you know, your parents are going to make mistakes, and that's important for you to realize. And sometimes you kind of have to buck up and take care of things on your own. That message, no, that's gone. That's completely scrubbed from the movie.
Well, this movie, I'm looking, this movie only has a runtime of 109 minutes. They didn't even give it 2 hours, which is pretty wild for a movie that everyone has said is so intricate and so heavy that you would cut it that much shorter.
That you would, odd. I mean, I feel like it could have benefited from an extra 10 minutes having the Ixchel scene, just having that in there. Okay. It would have fixed the pacing at the end of the movie a lot. So
okay, so all right, so you got to give it a score out of 5. What are you doing?
I'm gonna go with like a 3.
3 out of 5. Okay,
because like it's good. It's not great. There's a lot of things to like about this movie. Oh, the one big thing that they left out, and it was in the trailers, right, is the scene where Meg actually explains what the hell a tesseract is. Where she's got the ant and the string, and she's like, you would think that the quickest way to get across the string is to just walk across the string, and then no, you wrinkle the string, you wrinkle space-time, and he appears on the other hand. They took that out of the movie, which means they're talking about tesseracts and tessering and this, that, and the other, but you never actually get a simple explanation of what it is.
Oh. Yeah, that kind of ruins the whole A Wrinkle in Time. Yeah, that sort of really drops the ball there. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to like about this movie. I feel like March is very much an up and down month for movies. So
yeah, it's the tail end before the craziness of the summer months.
So like, maybe go see it, particularly if you've got kids and you want to have a fun sci-fi time with no Christianity like there was in the book.
Oh, okay. So that you're not getting you're not getting a space Narnia.
They kind of clock you over the head with the Bible a few times in the novel, and they completely scrubbed that. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's hollow without Christianity," and I'm like, "Shut the hell up! It's not. Like, it's fine."
Good.
So,
all right. So 3 out of 5. It's okay. Basically.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's adequate.
All right. There you go. It's adequate. Rush out and see. It's adequate. All right, that's our review for A Wrinkle in Time. Make sure if you're listening to this, make sure you check out the videos for these episodes. You can go to youtube.com/the Nerdpocalypse to check those out.
See your beautiful shining faces.
That's right. And mine as well. But if you are watching these on YouTube, you can also subscribe to our podcast feed for these particular types of short film reviews. You can go to comingdistractionspod.com and subscribe. You can find Coming Distractions on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. So check that out, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks.
Bye. You're watching the Nerdpocalypse YouTube channel. Make sure you click that button to subscribe and check out our weekly podcast where we talk about movie, TV, news, tech, and weird stories from around the internet.